I found my old cloud backup. 73 pages. Timestamped 6 months before her company launched. She thought she'd erased the evidence. Posted to r/pro-revenge. I'm writing this from a hotel room because I can't go home right now. My phone has 47 missed calls. My inbox is flooded. My hands are still shaking, but not from fear anymore. From something else entirely. Relief, maybe. Or rage that's finally found its exit. I need to tell someone what happened tonight. What really happened. Not the version that's probably already spreading through my family's group chat, painting me as the jealous, unstable sister who ruined a beautiful party. The real version. The one that started 8 years ago in a cramped apartment with a dream I thought died with a crashed hard drive. I'm 34 years old. Until about 6 hours ago, I worked 2 jobs, barista in the mornings, data entry in the evenings. I live in a studio apartment where the heating works about 60% of the time. I drive a 2009 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles on it and a check engine light that's been glowing for 2 years because I can't afford to find out what's wrong. I buy groceries at discount stores. I haven't taken a vacation in 4 years. My sister just turned 40. She's the CEO of a company valued at $47 million. She lives in a 6,000 square foot house with a pool, a home theater, and a wine cellar. She drives a Mercedes. She just got back from her 3rd European vacation this year. She has a household staff. For the past 8 years, she has been helping me. A check here, a check there. $500 when my car broke down. $1,000 when I was short on rent. Always delivered with that look, that mixture of pity and benevolence that made me feel simultaneously grateful and small. I just want to help you get on your feet, she'd say, squeezing my hand. That's what sisters are for. I believed her. I believed every word. I believed I was lucky to have her, that without her generosity I'd probably be homeless by now. I believed that I was the failure in our family, the one who couldn't get it together, couldn't make anything work, couldn't catch a break. Tonight, I found out the truth. She built her empire on my idea. She lives in a mansion I designed in my head. She drives cars bought with money that should have been mine. And she knew. She's always known. The party. Her 40th birthday party was obscene in the way that only truly wealthy people can pull off. 100 guests. Catered by some celebrity chef whose name I didn't recognize but everyone else seemed impressed by. A live jazz band. Actual ice sculptures. Valet parking. I showed up in my nicest dress, a $40 fine from a consignment shop that I'd been saving for a special occasion. I felt like a fraud the moment I stepped out of my sad little Civic, watching the valet's eyes slide over it with barely concealed judgment. My sister greeted me at the door with her trademark hug, the one that always felt like a performance for whoever might be watching. You came. I was worried you wouldn't make it. I wouldn't miss it, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, the constant low-grade humiliation of being the poor relation, the exhaustion of working 12-hour days, I loved my sister. Or I loved who I thought she was. The party was everything you'd expect. Business partners in expensive suits. Investors with champagne flutes. Her husband, always charming, always perfect, working the room like a politician. Everyone talking about how amazing my sister was, how inspiring, how she'd built her company from nothing. From nothing. That phrase kept coming up. I heard it at least a dozen times that night. She really built this from nothing, you know. Started with just an idea and a dream. A true self-made success story. I smiled and nodded and nursed the same glass of wine for 2 hours because I felt weird drinking their expensive alcohol when I knew I couldn't reciprocate. It was around 9 p.m. when I went looking for a bathroom. The main ones had lines, so I wandered toward the back of the house, past her home office, toward the guest wing. That's when I heard them. Her husband and someone I didn't recognize, another man, probably a business associate, were standing on the back terrace, cigars in hand, voices carrying through the cracked door. Absolutely killing it in the Southeast Asian market now. The expansion's been incredible. I remember when she first pitched the concept. Everyone thought she was crazy. Her husband laughed. Yeah, well, she's always had an eye for opportunity. Where'd the idea even come from? I've always wondered. It was so fully formed from the start. There was a pause. The kind of pause that means something. Can you believe it all started with her sister's business plan? She found it on her laptop 8 years ago and just took it. Didn't even feel bad about it. I stopped breathing. My hand found the wall because suddenly I couldn't trust my legs. Her sister. The one who's always struggling. The same. She had this whole plan worked out. Market analysis, product development timeline, everything. It was all there. She just didn't have the capital to execute it. My wife did. Or rather, my wife's trust fund did. Does the sister know? God, no. Her husband's laugh was different now. Conspiratorial. Ugly. She thinks she just got lucky with her inspiration. Even told her sister to stay away from the industry. Too competitive. Not her strength. Kept her nice and far away from the truth. That's cold. That's business. And anyway, it's not like she's suffering. My wife sends her money all the time. Keeps her comfortable. Keeps her grateful. It's actually kind of genius when you think about it. I don't remember walking away. I don't remember finding a bathroom. I just remember staring at my reflection in a mirror that probably cost more than my car, watching tears stream down a face I didn't recognize anymore. 8 years. 8 years I spent thinking I was a failure, thinking she was my savior. She was neither. She was just a thief with a good PR team. Update 1. The backstory. I need to explain what happened 8 years ago. You need to understand what was taken from me. I was 26 and burning with ambition. I'd been working in logistics for a few years, and I'd identified a gap in the market, a way to streamline supply chain management for small businesses using technology that the big players were ignoring. I'd spent 2 years developing the concept, market research, financial projections, a development timeline, partnership strategies. It was good. I knew it was good, not just because I believed in it, but because I'd shown it to professors from my business school, to mentors, to industry professionals. Everyone said the same thing, this could really be something. The problem was capital. I didn't have any. I was living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in student loans, trying to save enough to even think about approaching investors. My sister was getting married that year. She came to stay with me for a weekend, said she needed to get away from the wedding planning stress. She asked to borrow my laptop because hers was acting up. I didn't think anything of it. She was my sister. We'd shared everything growing up. Clothes, secrets, dreams. Why would I protect my computer from her? She spent hours on it. I assumed she was browsing wedding stuff, watching videos, whatever. I was busy with work. I didn't pay attention. 3 weeks later, my laptop crashed. Catastrophically. Blue screen of death. I took it to 3 different repair shops, but they all said the same thing. The hard drive was corrupted beyond recovery. I lost everything. Years of work. Gone. I was devastated, but I told myself I could rebuild. I had it all in my head. I'd just start over. But then something strange happened. My sister called me, excited. She'd had an amazing idea for a business. Wouldn't tell me the details, said she wanted to develop it first, but she was so enthusiastic. I was happy for her. She'd always been the more cautious one, the one who played it safe. It was nice to see her taking a risk. 6 months later, she launched her company. The moment I saw her website, my blood went cold. It was my idea, my concept, my market analysis, my development strategy. All of it. But I couldn't prove it. My files were gone. I had no documentation. And when I tried to talk to her about it, carefully, cautiously, not accusing, just asking, she looked at me like I was crazy. This is completely different from what you were working on, she said. Yours was about logistics. Mine is about supply chain optimization. Those are the same thing. She laughed. Not meanly, sympathetically. Worse. Honey, they're really not. I know you've been stressed about losing your files, but you can't let that make you paranoid. I would never steal from you. You're my sister. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my sister. She wouldn't lie to me. And maybe I had been paranoid. Maybe the stress had gotten to me. Maybe what I'd been working on wasn't as original as I thought. She told me I wasn't smart enough for that industry. She told me to be realistic about my abilities. And I believed her. I believed my own sister. Over the years, whenever I thought about trying something in that space, she'd talk me out of it. It's so competitive now. You'd be crushed. You don't have the right experience. Maybe try something more entry-level. I just don't want to see you fail, honey. It would break my heart. Every time she handed me a check to help with rent, she was paying me pennies for the millions she stole. And she made me feel grateful for it. I internalized her narrative. I was the struggling one. The one who couldn't quite make it work. The one who needed help. I got smaller and smaller while she got bigger and bigger, and I never once connected the dots. Until tonight. Update 2. The recovery. After I heard her husband's confession, I didn't confront anyone. I didn't cry anymore. I didn't leave. I did something I've learned from 8 years of barely surviving. I got strategic. I went back to the party. I smiled. I mingled. I congratulated my sister on her success. I hugged her husband like I hadn't just heard him laugh about destroying my life. And I waited. I waited until I got home. Until 2 a.m. Until I was absolutely certain I could think clearly. Then I started searching. See, when my laptop crashed 8 years ago, cloud storage wasn't as automatic as it is now. But I'd signed up for a free service, one of those early ones that gave you like 2 gigabytes of space. I'd barely used it. Forgot I even had it. The password was probably still my college email. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. It took me 4 tries to remember my old password. 2 failed recovery attempts. 1 near breakdown when I thought the account had been deleted. And then, there it was. A folder called Business Plan, Final Draft. Timestamped February 12, 2016. 6 months before my sister had her idea. 7 months before she launched her company. Inside, everything. My market analysis. My financial projections. My development timeline. My partnership strategy. 73 pages of documentation with metadata proving I created every single word. I sat in my dark apartment and laughed until I cried, then cried until I laughed. She thought she'd erased the evidence. She thought she'd gotten away with it. She was wrong. Update 3. The preparation. I didn't do anything stupid. I didn't call her screaming. I didn't post on social media. I didn't tell anyone. Instead, I spent 3 weeks preparing. First, I found a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, one who specializes in intellectual property theft and business fraud. I walked into her office with my cloud backup, my documentation, and the story of what happened. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. How much is your sister's company worth? Last valuation was $47 million. She leaned back in her chair. And you have time-stamped documentation proving you developed the core concept before she ever had her idea? Yes. And witnesses who knew about your work before her company launched? I'd thought about this. My old business school professor. A couple of mentors I'd consulted. My college roommate, who I talked to about it constantly. She smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who sees a very interesting case. Your sister built a $47 million company on stolen intellectual property. Even if we can't prove the physical theft, which, frankly, her husband's statement might help with if we can get any corroboration, we can absolutely prove prior art. The development of the concept was yours. The work was yours. At minimum, we're looking at a significant settlement. At maximum. She paused. Well, let's just say your sister should have been nicer to you. I retained her on the spot. We began building the case. But I wanted something more than legal victory. I wanted her to understand what she'd done. I wanted everyone to understand. I wanted justice that she couldn't spin into victimhood. So I made a plan. Update 4. The Party, Part 2. The Confrontation. My sister's actual birthday, not the big party, but the real date, was 2 weeks after I retained my lawyer. She threw another gathering, smaller this time. Just 50 people. Family, close friends, key business associates. The important ones. She asked me to come. She always asked me to come. I know money's tight, she said on the phone, her voice dripping with that familiar sweetness. Don't worry about a gift. Your presence is present enough. I told her I wouldn't miss it. The day of the party, I got an email from my lawyer. Everything was ready. The documentation was organized. The witnesses were lined up. The case was solid. I put on the same $40 consignment dress. I drove my sad little Civic to her mansion. I parked between a BMW and a Tesla and took a deep breath. This was it. The party was in full swing when they called everyone to the main room for the toast. My sister stood on a small raised platform they'd set up, because of course they had, with a microphone, her husband beside her, champagne in hand. She looked radiant. Successful. Perfect. She looked at me from that stage and I saw it. She always knew. Every hug, every "I'm so proud of you," every dollar she gave me. She knew what she'd taken. I want to thank everyone for being here, she began, her voice warm and practiced. 40 years. Can you believe it? And what a journey it's been. She talked about her success, her company, her vision, her hard work. I built this company from nothing, she said, and there it was again, that phrase, and something in me snapped. But I couldn't have done it without the support of the people in this room. My incredible team, my amazing husband, and my family, especially my sister. She turned to look at me, her smile benevolent, magnanimous. My sister has had some struggles, but she's never given up. And I'm so proud to be able to support her, to help her. That's what family does. Something about the way she said, struggles. Something about the careful performance of her generosity. Something about the way her husband smirked. I stood up. Actually, I said, and my voice was steady, stronger than I expected, I think I should say something. My sister's smile flickered. Just for a second. Of course. Come up here. No, I'll stay here. Everyone can hear me. The room went quiet. 50 pairs of eyes on me. My sister's smile frozen in place. 8 years ago, I said, I developed a business plan. It was for an innovative approach to supply chain management, using technology to help small businesses compete with larger corporations. I spent 2 years on it. Market analysis, financial projections, development timeline, everything. My sister's face was pale now. Her husband had stopped smirking. I didn't have the capital to launch it. But I had the idea. I had the plan. It was mine. I don't understand what this has to do with, my sister started. You borrowed my laptop, I continued. Remember? You stayed with me for a weekend while you were planning your wedding. You said yours was broken. You spent hours on it. And 3 weeks later, my hard drive crashed. Lost everything. That's a coincidence, she said. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. 6 months after you used my laptop, you had an idea. For a business. In supply chain management. Using the exact same strategy. The exact same market analysis. The exact same development timeline. Murmurs in the crowd. Uncomfortable shifting. That's ridiculous, my sister said, but her voice was shaking now. I came up with that myself. We've talked about this. Your idea was different. No, it wasn't. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. I found my old cloud backup. The one I forgot existed. With all my original files. Timestamped February 2016. 6 months before your company launched. The murmurs got louder. And I have witnesses. My old professor, who I consulted about the concept. My mentors. My roommate. All of whom knew about my business plan before you ever had your idea. This is insane, my sister said. You're making this up. You're jealous. You've always been jealous. I also have a very interesting statement, I said, from your husband, made at your big party 2 weeks ago. He told a friend, and I quote, "Can you believe it all started with her sister's business plan? She found it on her laptop 8 years ago and just took it. Didn't even feel bad about it." The room went completely silent. Her husband's face was the color of milk. He also mentioned, I continued, that you kept me away from the industry on purpose. Told her sister to stay away. Too competitive. Not her strength. His words. He thought it was genius. The way you sent me money to keep me grateful. Keep me quiet. It's not like she's suffering. Keeps her comfortable. Keeps her grateful. My sister opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. 8 years, I said. I spent 8 years thinking I was a failure. Thinking I wasn't smart enough. Thinking you were helping me out of love. But you weren't helping me. You were paying me off. Pennies for the millions you stole. And you made me feel like I owed you for it. I looked around the room. At the investors, who were exchanging horrified glances. At the business partners, who were already pulling out their phones. At my family, who looked like they'd been hit by a truck. I've retained a lawyer, I said. One who specializes in intellectual property theft. We'll be filing suit this week. I just thought everyone here, especially the investors, should know exactly what kind of person they're backing. What kind of self-made success story they're celebrating. I walked toward the door. The crowd parted for me like the Red Sea. Behind me, I heard my sister's voice, high and desperate. Wait, we can talk about this. I can explain. I turned back one last time. She was standing on that platform, champagne still in her hand, her perfect makeup starting to run. Her husband was already walking toward a back door. Half the room was on their phones. "You spent 8 years making me feel like I owed you everything," I said. "Now you're going to find out what you actually owe me." I walked out into the night, got in my sad little Civic, drove away from her mansion, her pool, her wine cellar, her life built on my stolen dreams. My phone was already buzzing. Family members, friends, people who'd heard what happened. I didn't answer any of them. I just drove. Update 5. Final: the aftermath. It's been 3 months since my sister's birthday party. I've been asked to write a final update, and I think enough has happened now that I can. The lawsuit is ongoing, but my lawyer says we're in an extremely strong position. The time-stamped documentation, combined with witness statements and the circumstances of the theft, make for what she calls a compelling case. We're pursuing both damages and a percentage of the company's value based on my intellectual contribution. My sister's company is in chaos. 2 of her major investors pulled out within a week of the party. One of them contacted me directly to apologize. Apparently, he'd had concerns about some of her business practices for years, and this confirmed his suspicions. The company's valuation has dropped significantly. There's talk of a board restructuring. Her husband filed for divorce 2 weeks after the party. Turns out, being publicly exposed as complicit in theft doesn't do great things for a marriage. Last I heard, he's trying to distance himself as much as possible, claiming he didn't know the full extent of what happened, trying to protect his assets from any potential judgment against my sister. My family is complicated. My parents were devastated. They didn't want to believe it at first, kept saying there must be some misunderstanding, that my sister would never do something like this. But when they saw the documentation, when they heard the witnesses, when they read the statement from her own husband, they couldn't deny it anymore. My mother called me crying last month. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "We should have seen it. We should have known." I told her it wasn't her fault. How could she have known? I didn't know. I believed the same lies everyone else did. My sister has tried to contact me multiple times. Long emails about how sorry she is, how she never meant for things to go this far, how she was young and desperate and made a terrible mistake. She's offered to settle, to give me money, to make things right. I haven't responded. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm not ready. And because, sorry, doesn't give me back 8 years of believing I was a failure. It doesn't undo the nights I lay awake wondering why I couldn't make anything work. It doesn't erase the shame I felt every time I had to accept her help, or the way she looked at me, pitying, magnanimous, while she lived in a house built on my dreams. She told me I wasn't smart enough for that industry. She told me to be realistic about my abilities. And I believed her. I believed my own sister. That's the part that still keeps me up at night. Not the money. Not the success she stole. But the way she made me see myself. The way she rewired my sense of my own capabilities, my own worth. That's what I'm still trying to rebuild. But I'm rebuilding. I quit my second job. My lawyer advanced me some money against the expected settlement, enough to stabilize my finances while the case proceeds. I'm sleeping more than 4 hours a night for the first time in years. I've started working on a new business concept, something different, something that's entirely mine, something I'm not sharing with anyone until it's ready. And you know what? I'm good at this. I'm really good at this. I'd forgotten that, somewhere in the 8 years of being told I wasn't smart enough, wasn't capable enough, wasn't enough. I was enough all along. I was more than enough. She knew it. That's why she stole from me. Final reflection. Someone asked me in the comments if I feel guilty. If I regret what I did at that party. If I wish I'd handled it differently. The answer is no. For 8 years, I lived in a reality my sister constructed for me. A reality where I was the failure, she was the success, and her help was an act of generosity rather than guilt money. She gaslit me into believing I wasn't capable of doing exactly what she proved I was capable of, by taking my work and building an empire on it. She didn't just steal my business plan. She stole my confidence, my sense of self, my belief in my own abilities. She made me small so she could feel big, and she did it while smiling, while hugging me, while handing me checks and telling me she was proud of me. That's not sibling rivalry. That's not a mistake. That's calculated cruelty dressed up as love. So no, I don't feel guilty for exposing her. I don't regret doing it publicly. She built her reputation on a lie, and that lie was destroying me from the inside out. The truth was the only thing that could set me free. Besides, if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that strategic action beats emotional reaction every time. I didn't scream at her. I didn't attack her. I gathered evidence. I built a case. I chose my moment. And I delivered the truth in a way that couldn't be dismissed or spun or explained away. She spent 8 years playing the long game against me. I just played it better. The case is expected to go to trial next year unless she settles. My lawyer is confident. The documentation is solid. The witnesses are credible. And the story, well, the story speaks for itself. Whatever happens legally, though, I've already won the only victory that really matters. I know the truth now. I know what I'm capable of. I know that the person I've been mourning for 8 years, the successful version of myself, the one who could have been something, was never a fantasy. She was stolen. And now she's coming back. My sister took my idea, my confidence, and 8 years of my life. She won't get a single day more. This is my story. It's ugly in places. It's painful in others. But it's mine. Just like the business plan was mine. Just like the success should have been mine. And this time, no one's going to take it from me. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, I've saved copies of all my documentation in multiple locations. Cloud storage, physical drives, my lawyer's office, even a safe deposit box. I learned my lesson about backups the hard way. My sister won't get the chance to make my evidence disappear again. Edit 2. Thank you all for the support. I never expected this to blow up the way it has. For those who have shared similar stories, of being undermined by family, of having your work stolen, of being made to feel small by people who were supposed to love you, I see you. I believe you. And I hope you find your own version of justice, whatever that looks like for you. You're not failures. You were sabotaged. There's a difference. Don't let them make you forget it. Here's what I learned about theft. Sometimes they don't just steal your money. They steal your belief in yourself. And that's the crime that takes longest to recover from. My sister is a CEO. $47 million company. Mansion. Mercedes. Wine cellar. I work 2 jobs and drive a car with 180,000 miles. For 8 years, she helped me. $500 here. $1,000 there. Always with that look, pity mixed with benevolence. I felt grateful. Indebted. Then I heard her husband at her birthday party. Can you believe it all started with her sister's business plan? She found it on her laptop 8 years ago and just took it. She built her empire on my idea. She lives in a mansion I designed in my head. She drives cars bought with money that should have been mine. Every time she handed me a check to help with rent, she was paying me pennies for the millions she stole. And she made me feel grateful for it. She told me I wasn't smart enough for that industry. She told me to be realistic about my abilities. And I believed her. I believed my own sister. 8 years. I spent 8 years thinking I was a failure, thinking she was my savior. She was neither. She was just a thief with a good PR team. But she made one mistake. I found my old cloud backup. 73 pages of documentation. Timestamped 6 months before her company launched. I waited until her 40th birthday. Until she stood on that stage thanking everyone for her self-made success. Until she called me out as the struggling sister she was so proud to support. Then I told the truth. In front of her investors. Her partners. Her family. I have a lawyer now. The case is solid. 2 investors already pulled out. Her husband filed for divorce. She spent 8 years making me feel like I owed her everything. Now she's going to find out what she actually owes me.